Sri Aurobindo, Mira is my refuge. Namaste, very good morning, welcome all of you. Today we are going to discuss very important topic. The caption will be the last command. The last command of Savitri to the Lord of Death. Here we want to focus in brief. In short, we are going to discuss on the last command. Before going to discuss, I think it will be much more interesting for you, and very much anxiety will arise in you, because this is almost a new thing you are going to listen, and that has been described in Savitri by Sri Aurobindo. After the long debate between love and death, in the final stage, Lord of Death gives the option before lays the option before Savitri. He asks, "O human claimant to immortality, reveal thy power, lay bare thy spirit's force. Then will I give back to thee Satyavan." So he speaks of, "O human claimant to immortality, reveal thy power, lay bare thy spirit's force and power you reveal, lay bare. Then will I give back to thee Satyavan." I can give it because I am possessing his soul. Or, if the mighty mother is with thee, either you have got the own power, or if the mighty mother is with thee, show me her face that I may worship her. Seeing her face that is hidden in you, she is concealed, staying secret. After seeing her, I may worship her. Let the deathless eyes look into the eyes of death. Two controversies, different things, two opposite things. Let the deathless eyes, the eyes that are death, look into the eyes of death, who is hidden inside of you. This is deathless eyes. Look into the eyes of death, an imperishable force touching brute things. Things are brute, but the power that will touch an imperishable force, the force is imperishable, that has to touch the brute things and transform earth's death into immortal life. This earth's death will be converted, will be transformed to the immortal life. Then can thy dead return to thee and live. So this is the condition which was conditioned by Lord of Death to see the original avatar who is secret, who is staying secret inside Savitri. Then what happened? The incarnate thrust aside its veil. A little figure in humanity, it stood and seemed the Eternal's very house. Because we know a world's desire compelled her mortal birth, so she has to take the human form, human name, and the human limitation, human bounds. But after leaving this, hearing the last word from Lord of Death, she has to prove it. She has to come to the fore. She has to fight. She has to win, and she has to live. After this transformation, the mightiest transformation, she has to come and lay before him her last command. The incarnation thrust aside its veil. The veil was there. The incarnation, Savitri, thrust aside. It was thrusted out. A little figure in infinity, it stood and seemed the Eternal's very house. Then what happened? Little bit change we'll see, then we'll go to the topic. Her forehead span vaulted the omniscience gates. Forehead span vaulted the omniscience gates. Her eyes were two stars that watched the universe. Her eyes, no more she is now an earthly being, an embodied being, one limited being, or a human in a figure of living beside her humanity, infinity. She was actually holding the small form, Now, her eyes were two stars that watched the universe. Not only here and there, or say that limited sphere watched the universe. Eyes were two stars. The power that from her being summit reigned, from her being summit, the reigned, that power reigned. The presence chambered in its lotus secrecy came down and held the center of in her brow, where the mind's lord in its control room sits. Now the transformation came. She is going to change. The last and mightiest transformation is coming, and she is preparing to face the death at the Lord of Deaths. And thus changed. She waited for the word to speak, the last word, the last command, what we are going to discuss today. Thus changed. She waited for the word to speak. She waited for the word, the last word to speak. Eternity looked into the eyes of death. Eternity looked into the eyes of death, and darkness saw God's living reality. Then there came a voice. There the low, calm utterance of infinity, when it speaks to the silence in the heart of sleep. The silence, the voice, the last command, it came out, and Savitri expresses, and she speaks of the word. Now that topic is the last command. We'll listen few lines are there. Most Savitri speaks of, I hail thee, almighty and the victorious death. Till now, Lord, death is almighty and the victorious. Since the beginning of the universe till now, there is a struggle, there is a war between love and death. Almost all the time till now, love is meeting with defeats, and death is winning, coming victorious. I hail thee, almighty and the victorious death, thou grandiose darkness of the infinity. Who art thou? You just imagine the couple of definitions we'll see and know who these great these protagonists were, what is their real form and name, what is their power. O void that makes room for all to thee, for all to be, hunger that gnaws at the universe, consuming the cold remnants of the sun, and eats the whole world with thy jaws of fire. Imagine, you do, these are your works, these are your bad works, ugly works, what you are doing. Consuming the cold remnants of the suns, you are consuming the cold remnants of the suns, and consuming, then eats the whole world with thy jaws of fire. Thy jaws are actually jaws of fire. There itself you eat the whole world with thy jaws of fire. Waster of the energy that has made the stars. The energy that made the stars, you are wasting, simply you are wasting with thy with thy strength, with thy jaws of fire, that power. So you are wasting, spoiling everything. Then, inconscience, carrier of the seeds of thought. Very nice example, nice line. Inconscience, carrier of the seeds of thought. Nescience, in which all knowledge seems entombed, and slowly emerges in its hollow breast, wearing the mind's mask of bright ignorance. Imagine. Sure, the rights and mother speaks of inconscience, carrier of the seeds of thought carried in by the inconscience, and nescience, in which all knowledge sleeps entombed. The inconscience, the nescience, you know, that darkness, that totally obscurity. Nescience, in which all knowledge sleeps entombed. It sleeps simply, not coming out, because this area, this environment, the situation is not normal for his working. So she is slipping on behind, staying behind the veil. She is carrying, in which all knowledge sleeps entombed. Then mother once again speaks of commands. Thou art my shadow and my instrument. Till now you are running. You are my shadow and you are my instrument. Already we know in the initial thing, love came to her hiding the shadow. Love came to her hiding the shadow. Why she came here? Hiding the shadow. He is coming in the form of death. Why? Well might he find in him his perfect shrine. For him the perfect shrine, for death the perfect shrine is nothing but only the mother. He knew that for the perfect shrine, the perfect adorable Lord is the mother, nobody else. So he came here hiding the shadow in the form of death. As we can imagine, before Sita Haran, before taking away to Sita in that forest, Ravana also came in disguise, hiding his shadow. He came, he asked for alms, he begged for alms. When Sita crossed the three lines pulled by Lakshman, she came out, and when she came out, she was actually stolen and taken away by Ravana. Like this, because this was not the stealing, or it is not of the taking away or kidnapping, but thing is that Ravana was a great devotee of the Sita and Rama. He wanted to finish up his time. He wants to have the final darshan. At least he can adore, at least he can worship, and at least he can get the nearness and his touch. For that only she took away Sita, her mother. Thou art my shadow and my instrument, mother speaks of. Thou art my shadow and my instrument. You are nothing more than that. I have given thee thy awful shape of dread. That dreadness you are showing, with which you are actually making fears among the entire creation. People are getting dreaded, with this dreadful face, you are threatening them, you are killing them like this. I have given thee thy awful shape of dread, and thy sharp sword of terror and grief and pain. Three things you have, that dreadness, and another sharp sword of terror, grief, and pain I have given thee, to force the soul of man to struggle for light. Because these people, the men who have taken here, birth here, or moving here, they have forgotten. They are struggling for light. Original light the soul had bought, his mind has lost. The sun seems him the shadow of his thoughts. So all is shadow again, nothing is true. The light his soul had bought, his mind has lost. Here, to force the soul of man, not to the mind, life, or body, to force the soul of man to struggle for light, at least with thy grief, with the instrument of grief, terror, and pain, and this dreadfulness, the man, at least they will struggle for the divine light, for the supreme light, what they have lost. Struggle for light. On the brevity of his half-conscious days, most of the time they are staying unconscious, or semi-conscious, or half-conscious, or fully conscious is a daydream. Thou art his spur to greatness in his works. Man must ascend to his greatness, and thou art his spur. You are the way. Through you they will be ascended towards their greatness. To the whip, to his yearning for eternal bliss. You whip them because they need the eternal bliss, as you know. God's oneness and the bliss are our inborn right. For that, they are yearning, they are ascending, they are keeping forward, and you are the whip. With your whip, with that suck, they are coming forward for the eternal bliss. Leave death a while, and be still my instrument. Now I have come. It is time, your time is over. Be my instrument, be still my instrument. One day man too shall know thy fathomless heart. People will come and know of silence and the brooding peace of night, and the grave obedience to eternal law, and the calm inflexible pity in thy gaze. Now they fear, there is grief, there is pain, there is death, there is horror in our ears, in your eyes and your activities. But men to come, and they will know you, they will see inflexible pity in thy gaze. But now, O timeless mightiness, stand aside, you stand aside, you give place, you give clear the road, and leave the path for my incarnate force, Satyavan. Leave the path for my incarnate force, will relieve the radiant God from thy black mask. Now itself you have taken the hostage, you release him. Freed from thy clutch of pain and ignorance, that he may stand master of life and the fate. Man's representative in the house of God, the mate of wisdom and the spouse of light, the eternal bridegroom of the eternal bride. He has to come, he has to get incarnated. You just leave her bed. Thank you. Vande Mataram.